Okay, fine.
Just pick one market and kick the shit out of it.
Kick the shit in New York. You know, he pull all kinds of ads from New York. He does well local ads in L.A. And I think that probably, there wasn't, Jay, to answer you, there wasn't a strategy in terms of sales. There was no strategy in terms of affiliation. You got to go into an affiliate and say, well, is this the right kind of station? Are you guys cuming anybody? Are you cuming the demographic?
What's cuming mean?
Meaning, are there enough people listening around the clock?
Cumulative listeners?
Cumulative listeners.
Thank
In other
you.
words, a quarter hour is people, now we got this goddamn PPM, but a quarter hour
What's
is basically
a PPM?
People meter.
Okay.
Haven't they been beating your brains into that?
I totally act like I'm listening and I don't.
You know, okay.
Allegedly.
I don't know what it's about either, but
people
quarter hours,
meter.
people that stay and listen to you for 15 minutes as opposed to a guy that turns on Jay Mohr and then goes to another station. The guy that turns you on and goes to another station is the cum. That's who you need a good number of that.
I was told a new audience comes in every 11 minutes. Every 11 minutes, think of an exactly duplicate audience and the other one left because they had things to do.
That may be
so
true.
that's why you got to keep playing the clips at the top of the hour at half. Like this is what happened. Last hour, this happened. And I've taught terms like you got to work horizontally and you have to work vertically. Vertically, as you know, is through the show. Last hour, this happened. Next hour, this is going to happen. This is where I was. This is where I'm going. Horizontally is tomorrow. Sylvester Stallone will join us. And yesterday, you missed this. It's a
now,
whole...
who told you these
Don
things?
Martin, the King of Kings.
Oh, Don's a good guy.
Don likes you a lot.
Yeah, Don's a good man. I was going to say if it was anybody else, we'd probably be able to talk for a half an hour about them.
You got a Don Martin impression?
I do not know.
If you want to make good radio.
What's he, Paul Lind? What's it sound like to me?
He's Matthew McConaughey in 10 years.
Okay.
If you want to make good radio. Chemistry. You got to have chemistry. You're the steak, man. All these other little bitches, they're just spices and seasoning. And I think we got a lot of lawbreakers in here tonight. All right. Once you hit that local number, okay, the world's your oyster. But you can't mess with the clock.
Yeah.
The clock is corporate. You kill the affiliates, man. You kill them, buddy.
Yeah.
Seasoning. All right. So, yeah, Don Martin had very nice things to say about you.
With these words that they drop in and you don't know what they mean. Seasoning. Remember that.
You're the steak. Everything, all the sound effects, seasoning. Chemistry. Yeah. My first meeting with Don Martin, we sat down. It was me. It was a tech guy.
A job. There is a good one. That discussion.
An executive producer. And he literally goes, and, you know, Don, I like Don. He literally taught me what I know about radio. There's been no other voice in my head. So if you like Jay Mohr Sports on Fox Sports Radio, he's the reason why. He goes, there's only one way. Chin's pointing out a little bit. Cufflinks. There's only one way.
Cufflinks.
I'm not a suit and tie guy, man. Cufflinks. That's what I do. That's kind of my thing. Shit, man. I was in Denver for 15 years. Talk to me about Peyton Manning going to the Broncos, buddy. There's only one thing that's going to keep you guys all on the same page. You all use his brain. But at the end of the day, there's only one thing that makes a radio show fly nationally. Phil, when I tell you it was a 60-second pause, I'm telling you it was fucking 60 seconds.
60 seconds.
And I fought every urge because I'm the new guy.
Yeah.
And I knew it. And then finally he just goes, chemistry.
That makes it happen. Huh?
For 60
It makes it happen nationally. Huh?
For 60 seconds, I fought the urge to go, chemistry? Because I knew what he's going to say. But with you, but I will say this, anything that I'm doing correctly with corporate as I suck happily from the corporate teat.
Sure.
I could not possibly be happier. Anything I'm doing right in that structure, the content, obviously, I think of and I make jokes, but all that clock and time and vertically and horizontally, tell me where you were, tell me where you're going. Don sat me down with the playbook, said, this is what's expected of you.
Yeah.
And he did a good job.
You got to have that. I had a guy, David G. Hall. They are all good with the methodology, and that's what a good PD does. He makes what you do well. He tries to support it by giving you the formatic structure. That's important. It really is. As long as they're not telling you, the joke you told, that wasn't funny.
Yeah,
who told you it wasn't funny? Get out of here,
Anybody working with comics, any industry person, any radio, any television, any movie, people who listen to this podcast, anybody out there, the moment you think you have a say in anything creative, it's over. It's over. It's fucking over. Because that comic for the rest of his life is going to go, can you fucking believe
that
happened to us on Mohr Sports on ESPN? We would edit. It was Bob Morton, 18 Emmy nominations for doing David Letterman. Knows a little about comedy.
Robert Morton's over there.
Yeah, me and all my friends, a bunch of pothead comics, putting the show together, editing the monologue to time, taking out the bad shit, keeping the good shit, keeping the laughs. We'd put in the satellite for ESPN, and this guy Mark Shapiro would call us. We'd watch the show that night. And the monologue was different. They would re-edit it in Bristol, Connecticut.
Oh, God.
And then when we called the next day, aghast, he'd go, just wasn't funny.
Oh,
just wasn't funny, guys.
God, do you love that, man? Jesus.
And
Mark Shapiro.
I lost a lot of money. I called him a cocksucker on the Tonight Show.
Well, that's good. How did you lose money?
Because anything
been worth millions.
Disney is a very large corporate entity, ABC and ESPN. So anything I was going to do a commercial for ABC during the Sugar Bowl for a couple $100,000. Aired once. It would only air. And he just goes, no. And he's got a lot of friends. He's got a lot of...
This guy Shapiro.
Now he's running Six Flags with somebody.
Well, that's good for him. That sounds like a good job.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Let's keep it light. I want to go back to Bobby Dooley.
Let's keep it light.
Will you? Should Bobby Dooley? Do you think you can keep a straight face with Bobby Dooley?
Well, this is Maddie.
Hold on,
Maddie.
though. He's going to need a mic. Do you think you can be? But if you keep a straight face, then people are going to think it's not funny. So I need you to fake laugh as much as possible to Bobby Dooley.
Fake
laugh or keep it straight?
Isn't that look?
I don't think you can keep it straight.
Isn't that just the cutest little dog? Now, what did they make those dogs for?
They make them. They breed them.
They breed them. That's what I mean. Did they breed?
Bobby, what's your husband's name again?
Steve.
Hi, Miss Mohr.
Steve, I didn't even know you were here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was over looking at the dog and everything.
That's a Yorkshire Terrier. They're English and British.
Okay. I've heard of those kind. Does it bite?
Sometimes.
Because if
it's
it does,
food. It bites food.
What about the rabies treatment?
It
Is there a
does not
clinic?
bite
Is there
rabies.
urgent care?
For rabies? I think for...
I know. Steve, what about the urgent care?
They closed them all. Reagan closed them down.
Oh, Reagan closed down the urgent cares.
Reagan from The Exorcist?
From The Exorcist.
That was the girl's
No, that
name.
was the president. The president.
Oh, President Reagan.
And
No,
was he an exorcist? You're kidding, right? Was he in that? Because I know that President Reagan was an actor.
No.
And he didn't play a priest.
No. You're
he
thinking...
played the voice of the demon.
No.
Okay. All right. Okay.
The girl in The
to learn.
Exorcist. Her name was Reagan in the movie. I was making a joke. I knew you meant President Reagan. I knew... What's your husband's name?
Steve is my husband. Steve and honey. You don't make much of an impression.
Well, I'm in landscaping.
He's in landscaping. What does that mean?
Oh, Sunbird. He does the Sunbirds.
Yes, honey. Do you do the...
Well, the Cunnington sisters.
He put it in for the Cuntington sisters. They live up the hill. Aren't you handsome? Is this Maddie?
Maddie boy, yeah.
Isn't
he's
he
a very
handsome?
handsome sound tech man.
And I have a son, Dylan, and another son, Seth, and another son, Justin. And no, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I can see his eyes are shifting around. And that's the way a lot of the young people look when they come to our home. The eyes shift about. And I'll say to Steve, put your pants on. And I'm only kidding about that. Okay, so he doesn't understand. Are you allowed to laugh in your home? Do your parents?
You can talk.
Well,
I'm trying not to laugh this whole time.
Maddie, how old are you? Why don't you come and play with our sons?
Wait. Bobby Dooley might find a young, handsome sound tech kind of fascinating because he's a nuts and bolts guy. This is out of Bobby Dooley's wheelhouse, right? So
it is.
This is Maddie.
Oh, Maddie.
This is Maddie Boy, our sound tech for More Stories podcast.
And I can tell you what we need to have, Maddie. We need to have, Steve, don't we need to have?
You got to have like an engineer and everything.
We do have to have a man that knows about the volume and everything.
Volume of
the radio, the podcast, right? Okay, because a lot of them have been coming out really loud. I noticed it and I said to Steve, you know why it's not good?
because you have a loud voice.
Everything's just all la 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 la. And we were listening to Sammy Davis Jr. coming over here. He yells really loud in the song, but it doesn't come out bad. Remember that, Steve? He goes, "What kind of fool am I?" I'm sorry, but I don't know how it's done.
Well, I think it's because
Why do you explain
they turn it down.
How do you turn it down and make it loud?
If I may. Maddie, why do you explain how the levels work to Ms. Bobby Dooley?
Well,
When he goes, "What kind of fool am I?" and it's really loud, and yet you can't. It's not being loud.
On the volume knob, a lot of times there's
On the volume knob,
there's a
Steve.
-1 or a -2.
Knob. Write down the knob. No.
And you need to turn it. You need to turn it to the appropriate levels.
Right.
First of all.
Okay.
And then you can go through.
Now,
and,
is a knob the one that goes up and down? And when I said that to Steve, what about the one that goes up and down? He's all, he's making his man joke,
right?
which
is unfair.
I know we're talking business.
Well, then don't do the whole.
Knobs can be the twisty, or they can be the up and
He's
down.
making his jokes again.
Yeah, knobs.
I don't understand. All right, so the knobs, and we're not talking about breasts. We're talking about.
Penises.
Oh my God. All right, so okay, I'll bite, as my father used to say.
Oh.
So the volume knob is the penis.
Correct.
And what's the breasts? Then that's also oh no, I know the penis is the thing that goes up and down. Okay, now when it comes out sounding bad and not funny and everything, what's wrong with it? Steve, do you know?
Well, I had my opinions, and you.
Well, I dismissed them, and now I have Maddie. If it sounds bad and your neighbors, I called over Carolyn Betham Hutcham, who's a very dear friend of mine, and I said, Carolyn, is this good? And she goes, oh, it's bad. She says it's bad. It's really bad sounding. And I said, but why? She said, because maybe you need an engineer to tell you about the knobs.
The knobs, yeah, I think it is. I think it's really when it comes down to is all about the knobs.
Steve? So, let me get the knobs.
But tell her for real how you actually balance the sound. Like if someone's yelling and when you edit the podcast, you have to do the levels.
Yeah.
Tell her the real way without any jokes.
Okay, I have to listen to the whole.
Oh, so the penis line is not a radio. Okay.
It's not an actual radio
Okay.
term.
They don't say, okay, Bob, grab the penis, and everyone's.
Gonna might make fun of you about it.
I see. No one's named Bob? Well, any engineer named Maddie.
Yeah.
I have to air check the entire episode and make sure that nobody pulls the mic away or nobody's bumping the mic, and then I go through each segment and I cut it up to the appropriate levels with knobs.
With the knobs.
With the knobs.
All right.
And then
See, Steve?
I can at the end I can put it through I can put it through a program that helps me.
Okay, so it's now I don't understand it, but you know how to do it.
Yes.
Can you come to our house and do ours?
Sure.
Or do you have to stay here at the J. Mohr house?
I can come to your house. No problem.
Great. Oh, great, Steve.
What about you can be alone with a guy and everything?
You're not. Oh God, he thinks you're going to rape me. A lot of, and nowadays you have to worry about that.
You're
don't
a very
you?
attractive woman. You are.
Oh, aren't you sweet? Aren't you kind?
You are. Would you like any lemonade?
Would I like your what?
Lemonade?
Oh, would I like lemonade?
Sure.
I don't think so, and I don't usually eat or drink at other people's homes because you don't know what
Rape.
You don't know what happened
sure.
to the. Well, you don't know what happened to the food, and what's in it. You know, there's
Lemons.
nothing wrong with it.
Lemons.
Well, I know, but what about the man?
Well, the guy peed in it.
Guy peed in. People pee in the drinks and things. So, all right, but no, nothing against your home and your hospitality. But if you urinated in the lemonade, and I don't think you did, I'm looking at you. I've got a good sense about you, Maddie. At first, I was worried. At first, I thought of a lot of bad things.
Yes, Bobby, question about the podcast.
Oh, thank
Bobby,
you. Yes,
Bobby,
dear.
do you think my episode
Yes, dear.
of the Bobby Dooley podcast came out well?
The Bobby Dooley podcast.
What is it?
The Bobby Dooley podcast.
Do you think my episode came out well? Do you think we worked well together?
I think we did a great job, and I loved the way that we just free-formed it, I think is what they say, don't they, in the entertainment world?
Well, I haven't heard that.
Oh, I free-formed it. And somebody said to me, Carolyn and Janice Ripley came over, and we were having, Janice brought a box of wine, and I'm trying to get her to bring over bottles. You know, do you drink boxes? You don't do that.
Juice boxes. I have children.
Oh, okay. Okay. They drink a box of wine. Oh,
No,
you do?
just a box of juice.
Well,
before
anyway,
it
she
turns
brought
into-
over a box, and we were, and I said, you know what? We freeformed it. She said, I said, yeah. And so I said, I'd like you to hear it, but I don't have the tape recording of it. They have it at another place. So when we hear it, I think you were great as we freeformed it. And about going to Oakland, that's really going to be interesting.
It's going to be
see.
very interesting for you, Bobby.
Yes, because, and I'm sitting
You're
there
gonna be
saying,
sore.
what does he mean? He says, well, you're going to see it. I said, no, because all I'm going to see is the vinyl of the back seat, the door of the motel, the hair on a black man's leg,